I just really want to make the video about the local today right now because my son is on his way back and I don't want to be on the phone when he comes back. So I'm just going to quickly do some chores while I talk to you about the locals today. So real quick, this is the UP list which I ran today. Here we go. I have made one single change from what we've discussed yesterday, and the only change was that I have taken out one lead performer and I've put it in one red rock because I feel more comfortable when I know there's a red rock and the gravity blade both. When the list yesterday was just a gravity blade. The red rock is such a card which comes in very handy in the mirror when you can remove one of the rush Luffys, like the 10k ones. Comes in against Bonnie quite often. I even used it against GP ones before, but so I'm pretty happy that I did that. By the way, felt way better. UP felt way better than GP did. Because whenever I play UP, it feels like everybody has to beat me instead of I have to beat everybody else, right? Where when I play GP, it's kind of like I'm on the clock. When I play UP, well, everybody else is kind of on the clock. So that's kind of the situation, and I really, really enjoyed this today. It was really, really good. I went 3-1. Should have really won it. Really threw it at the end there. Just really threw it for my own mistake. I just haven't played UP in a while. I've been focused on GP and Emo. This is not an excuse, it's just a fact. If you lack the reps, you're going to make manual mistakes. And I made one manual mistake, which is not going to happen again. So I'm really happy that all of this happened today and not in a real tournament. Anyways, let's go on to the matchups. Number one, today I had first matchup was a Rayleigh. Obviously Rayleigh is one of those matchups which you dread as UP because lots of little attacks, all chipping away at your health, all chipping away at your hand. Really annoying, that matchup. He won dice roll. I actually didn't win a single dice roll today. Guess that, right? I don't know. I haven't actually won a single dice roll in 8 locals back to back. So I'm like 8 matches. I haven't won a single dice roll in a row, by the way, now. So he won dice roll. He went second. He went double searcher. And I was like, uh-oh. He went double searcher already. But again, I'm a 6k lead, so I feel a little bit more comfortable than I do with GP when I'm a 5k lead right in the beginning. So, and one of the searchers, he took a Luffy, which was a little bit problematic, but you know, we were gonna get there when we were gonna get there. In my opening hand, I don't necessarily remember really what I had in there. I remember I mulliganed, and I remember I mulliganed into one Godthread and something else. Anyways, it's his first, so it was my turn, I pass. He plays on his 2-dawn turn 2 searchers, and then on my 3-dawn turn, I ramp one because I remember I had a 2k to defend 1 life. Right, yeah, I remember I had a 2k to defend 1 life, and I didn't think he was gonna swing more than 2 times, right? So yes, that's how we were. Yes, I used gear 2 to ramp up. He had his 4-dawn turn. He played his Luffy, played with the Luffy a Sanji, right? The 3k, which becomes a 6k on their turn. I remember, I think he swung twice. I countered 1, took the other one. I was down to 2 life. Then on 5-dawn, obviously, I then use the Godthread to remove the Luffy. And I swing into whatever fucking swung into me. Cleared that. And he was on 4 life because obviously the turn before that, when I gear second, I also swung into his life. I don't want to, like, people want to starve Rayleigh. I don't want to starve Rayleigh because I feel like you are on the clock with Rayleigh. Even if you get Nami's up, he can just go unblockable into unblockable into unblockable. And at some point you just die. That's why, you know, I'm obviously like taking his life when I can. Apart from that, I'm focusing on board, but I'm taking his life when I can. And then it went kind of, he went into another search and he couldn't follow up with another Luffy. So then he played another Sanji, and at that stage I'm now playing Mihawks, I'm playing Rosies, I'm really stabilizing on 2 life, by the way. And he is struggling to find Luffy. So he plays a Boa out, he plays another Sanji out, and he's playing all these really small characters, which are not bad. Obviously, he really does that. But in the UP, when you have like all the way done up, you kind of have counters in hand. All it takes is now a 1k, not a 2k to get out of a 6k swing. So it was not looking great for him. I was stabilizing. And yeah, I then remember I Mihawked something, and then I had a Sanji and a Mihawk and a Rosie on board, and I gravity bladed 2 of his bodies away. He never saw another Luffy, and he tried to finish me off with a Kid Killer before. It didn't work. Then he tried to go 16 unblockable. I countered out of that, and he just lost after that, basically. So if you can't follow up with another Luffy on Rayleigh, I mean, it's probably pretty hard because again I bottomed something. Oh yeah, I remember now. I remember what happened. He basically I played a Rosie. I played a Rosie at some point, and he mulliganed the Rosie, and then I played Rush Luffy to bounce one of his Sanji's back. Exactly. I played an 8-cost Luffy to bounce one of his Sanji's back, and he mulliganed the Sanji. So there was like 2 turns where he didn't go for my life, right? Yeah, he didn't go for my life. And then I played a Mihawk, and then I played a Gravity Blade, and I kind of stabilized and then just finished him off afterward. Exactly, that was the one. Next match. What was next match? Next match was a Up Sanji. Yeah, UP Sanji. That was closer than it should have been. Yeah, the game was definitely closer than it should have been, because on he played a Sanji out, he put him sideways, I swung really big back into him. I think I got threaded one of his blockers away, something like that, and he couldn't really have ever really a Sanji out without, when he turned him sideways, obviously I would go big back into him. So he couldn't really get a board going, and then at some stage he just 2 turns didn't attack me. I kept drawing 2 cards, and at some point I had 10 in hand, and he puddinged me. And I lost about 5 hand cards, which was horrific. But in my pudding hand, I drew into a pudding. And he had 9 cards in hand. But I already had 2 big bodies out. I had a Mihawk and a Sanji out. And on the next turn, on the following turn, I think he was down to 2 life. And I puddinged him. He took a 7. He took a 10. And then whatever the rest was of the Mihawk. And then there was just, he couldn't get out of that one. So he lost on that one. That could have been actually bad, because I actually forgot that UP Sanji does play a pudding. That is quite annoying. Look at this. This is fish and potatoes for my son tomorrow. Anyways, yes, I keep remembering that when you play blue decks, even when it's starting to look good, like they can pudding you. But also he wasn't attacking into me. I mean, I was drawing, my hand set was growing, but I couldn't even like play anything out, because like he wasn't coming into me, right? So there was like, I was just growing it, and I didn't even have the opportunity to throw everything out. So the Up Sanji man was pretty defined that game. Next game, we are looking at a Green Zoro, right? We were looking at Green Zoro, and I think he misplayed there a little bit, because I think it could have been a little bit different if he played it correctly. But he got first. Obviously, again, I lost every single dice roll. He went first. He found the Koshiro of one of his 2 searchers, and then he played 1 searcher. Then he played another searcher, and then he just swung 6, and I counted that out. And then he played, and with one of the searchers he found a Koshiro. And what he did was, he played on 5 a Cavendish, restunned 2, and swung 7 instead of putting down the Koshiro. I think that was a misplay. I think he just got greedy, and he's trying to race me down, and I just counted out of the 7 with a 2K, right? I think he just got greedy, because he really should have played the Koshiro, because obviously the turn after that I'm just fucking got threading the Cavendish into oblivion, and from then onwards it was difficult for him to get into it. I was playing 2 bodies. He did Wonder Deck in one of my 9Cs. That was a little annoying while hiding behind a Mihawk. But again, when you play cards out like that, you don't have enough Don attached to the leader so you can actually swing into stuff, right? When you play out so what he did, he played out a Mihawk, restunned 2 on his 9 Don. He had 5 Don. He then swung 8 into nothingness, because I had nothing sideways to swing 8 into. And he just swung 8 into me, which I just geared 2'd out of. And then he Wonder Decked one of my 9Cs. But you don't have enough Don to do stuff like that. So I don't know if the Wonder Deck thing is a real thing with Green Zoro. I then went for him. I went for his life. I went for everything he had. And he basically, in the end, went for 12-12, which I both counted out. Actually, he went 12 into my Sanji, which I counted out. Then he turned 12 into me, which I counted out. And then he restunned 12 into me again, which I counted out as well. So I counted out 3 12s, by the way. So don't tell me about UP being dead, right? I counted out 3 12s and Zoro being whatever the fuck. I could have even taken that life. It didn't even matter. But I just decided not to. So yeah, so I won the Zoro match with that. Yes, I think the Zoro has to play differently. The Cavendish has to stay and be protected by the Koshiro, but he also didn't see a single Tashigi. I left my Rosinante always up standing. I never turned it sideways. I really wanted him to put it sideways, if like that he had to play something to turn it sideways, basically. So I didn't make it quite in time. My family came home, so I just want to finish up the video. Where was I? Yes, the green Zoro. I think it's really important to keep that God thread for 5, because you want God thread over whatever he plays up on 5. If it's a Cavendish Koyoshiro, so be it. You God thread the Koyoshiro, it's one blocker gone. You can still, like Mihawk, bottom deck the Cavendish another time. Yeah, and then you obviously have to, like I would like to counter really early against Green Zoro, because I want to stay high on life, because you know he starts swinging 12, 12, 12, 12. It's just like you can counter out of it, but not always. All right, and then I had a BY match, and in the BY match, he was doing a lot of combo stuff. He was bringing everything out. Like he was playing the aces, he was playing the he played the Sabo on 5, like the blocker Sabo, not the KO protect, the one which draws a life and draws 2 cards as well. So that was pretty horrible, because he gets plus 3k, he gets plus 3 in cost, obviously. So he's an 8 cost and I can't God thread him on 5. So I just God threaded something random, I think it was. I don't remember what it was there. I just removed that. Oh yeah, it was a baby Sabo he brought out. Yeah, he had a baby Sabo just lying there, sitting there on top, and I God threaded that away. And then he was there with 9 cards in hand, and I puddinged him, and I had a Sanji on hand, and I really wish I just went 6-15 into his 9 when he drew his 5 new cards. He would have been left with 0 cards in hand, or he would have died. So one or the other would have been a better way than whatever I did. So that was the first mistake. So when you do the pudding and you have a 9k on board into DVY, you just gotta do it. Just gotta swing for it. And then after that, what was after that? Yes, after that there was a moment. He was struggling for it, and I think I was in a good position. But I had 2 down up. I used a Gum Gum Giant. I had 1 down up left, and then was minus 2 down, and then he swung for 1, and I took 1 life, and I rammed 1 back up. In that moment, I had 2 life again, and I kind of forgot the fact that I already did a giant, and I had another giant in my hand, and I played another Gum Gum Giant, and I went minus 2 down, and I went to 7 down. And I didn't have my leader ability, and it kind of messed up everything, because I didn't know what was in the stack. I couldn't play anything. I was only on 9 down. So all of that was kind of shit. So, but really, like, and at that moment, I just lost that game, because he swung for it in the end, and I just didn't have it, because I just couldn't put my stuff in it. So the big one was for me, obviously, like, you know, when I'm putting him and I have a 9k on board, just go for it with, I think it's 15, 9 plus 6, and then after that, again, I just gotta pay more attention. It was not really good. I just didn't pay attention to it, because I triggered the God thread from life, and that gave me a second Don back, and I kind of forgot the fact that I already used 1 Gum Gum Giant. I should have just geared 2'd, which I had in my hand, and I lost that match. I'm gonna do better in Bonn, because that was a good lesson though, and I'm getting back into the hang of UP. Deck's feeling super, super strong, and I'm really glad that we're back on it. Looking forward to the next match. See you tomorrow.